Hi, I'm Chantel Cohen, and today's topic is why can't I stop self-sabotaging? Why do I keep getting in my own way? Well, what if I told you that the answer is pretty simple? You may be surprised. It's your thought patterns. Your thought patterns are getting in the way of you succeeding and having the things that you want in life. I'd like to take you through a little exercise. I want you to think about a belief, and these are what I call limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not successful enough, I don't make enough money, nobody likes me, I'll never find love. I mean, guys, the list could be endless. I mean, you hear people say these things all the time. I'm unattractive. I don't have any friends. You know, these statements, and then when you make a statement like, well, I'm your friend, they'll say, well, you know, you're my only friend. Nobody else likes me. So limiting beliefs they're ones that you could kind of easily prove that they're not true. And so what happens with these limiting beliefs is we have almost like a cascade of automatic thoughts that kind of go with them. So let's say that your limiting belief, and I would love for you to write down if you have one, is I'm not good enough. I'm sure a lot of you have heard that. I'm not good enough. I literally had a drop-dead gorgeous woman in my office, and she felt like she wasn't good enough for the man that she had just met. And not only that, guys, she is successful. She's a wonderful person, has a great sense of humor. But because this guy has a little bit of cash in the bank, she felt inferior. Now, when I started asking, have these thoughts been there before? She definitely said that they had been there before. And so all of us at one time or another have had some of these limiting thoughts, just not my client. I mean, even I've had them, where you've been in situations where you feel like you're not enough. So those cascades of thoughts come. So let's say that we're at a party and everyone there is, not only are they wealthy, but maybe they're all MDs, let's say. And so if you already have the limiting belief that I'm not good enough, and you're walking into that room and you make a modest income and you're not an MD, you can imagine the insecurity that one feels. And so you've got this emotion. This emotion could be anxiety, fear, and that fuels that insecurity. And so now there's a cascade of thoughts. And those thoughts could be, oh my gosh, everybody's staring at you. Oh, I'm sure I'm wearing the wrong thing. And I look horrible. I look awful. Oh my gosh, I'm going to say the wrong thing. I don't know what to say to these people. I always say the wrong thing. I never get anything right. I'm sure that they're looking at me and they know that this dress is like 4 seasons old, and I'm going to say something stupid. All these people have been all these places, and what am I going to say that could be possibly entertaining? So you can see this person has all these worrisome thoughts that are going on, fueled by that one belief that they're not good enough. And that, guys, can be the kiss of death, because one, in that anxious state, the amygdala is firing. So now you're in a fear state and you're in your head. And so you meet someone and they don't connect with you because you're in your head trying to think of the right thing to say to prove that you're enough or to not stand out. And simply the person, maybe either they didn't connect with you because you're in your head thinking all those negative thoughts, or simply because, maybe their best friend came in or somebody that they wanted to talk to. But now you believe it's you. And now the fear goes up. And it gets kind of almost fused with all those negative thoughts. And it's like a molecule that's together. And now you're off to the races, and every person you're interacting with, the thoughts are more repetitive, but they're also coming faster. So fast that you're not really even paying attention to the conversation. And what happens is you start using these things called cognitive distortions. And cognitive distortions they just kind of warp the truth. And so have you ever had the person when you tell them something like, oh my gosh, you're so intelligent and wonderful. I just can't believe I'm getting to talk to you. I've literally had people that I've admired, and they'll say, oh, yeah, I don't know what you saw, but I was just okay. That speech wasn't right. They start going through all the things that are wrong. Even though I'm saying, gosh, I really enjoyed the speech. I loved that point that you made. It really spoke to me. Well, I'm glad that spoke to you, but I could have done a lot better job. I could have done better. So they minimize the things that you tell them, even though you're saying they did a fantastic job. They use that cognitive distortion of minimizing, and then they magnify their own inner dialogue, which is super negative. That cascade of thoughts is their negative inner dialogue. And so remember, that's been fueled with emotions like fear and anxiety. And so they're worrying. So when they're worrying like that, again, they only reinforce, along with those thoughts, they reinforce their own truth. So if you're wondering why you can't get out of your own way, it's because of these negative, repetitive thoughts that you are, and whenever you encounter somebody who says, hey, I thought differently, you're going to tell them all the reasons why they're wrong. Because you're going to minimize the person who tells you, oh, no, that's not true. So you hear people say, nobody likes me. And if you say, well, gosh, you told me about your friend that you're really close with. Well, she's the only one. Well, I thought you said that you had this person that was your closest friend in college. Well, we're not friends anymore. They just want to prove themselves right. So how do they behave? These folks behave by overanalyzing things. They overanalyze, and they behave, now you're walking around as though you're less than. You're behaving in this sort of way that says, I'm inferior. And hypersensitive about maybe feedback that you get. Oh, they don't like me. When it could have been just a normal performance appraisal. So it's really, I want you to see how this works. Because the result is you're overcompensating, you may adopt perfectionism, or you may start to just become helpless. Like, I'm never going to get ahead. I'm never going to be all I want to be. So every project that you try, you don't finish it. Why don't you finish it? Because you believe that you're not good enough, and you have a negative inner dialogue that reinforces it. You use a cognitive distortion that blocks out all the things that contradict that, and take in and magnify all the things you believe that corroborate or reinforce that you're not good enough. Guys, it's a hell of a cycle, because it leaves people shells of themselves. It leaves people anxious. It leaves some people living a life that is less than what they're capable of. It makes people feel down and depressed. It has people isolating. This is a powerful cycle, and I wanted you to be aware of it. Now, let me just tell you something that you can do that is really, really powerful. One of the things I want you to think about doing, and it's just a simple thing, but I want you to start, when you hear those negative thoughts in your head, all I want you to do is like reframe it. That's what we call it, just to reframe it. So instead of I'm not enough, I'm not asking you to say I am enough, I'm this, I'm that. If you're not that rah, and usually folks who are in this cycle are not, you can say things like, every day, little by little, I'm becoming more and more of myself in a positive way. Or every day, I'm striving to be better. Little things that are not necessarily like, I am enough, which could seem too much to some people. And so just do those reframes. So one of the things I said was, you're not successful, is thinking about a reframe would be, there are 3 things that I was successful at today. And name those 3 things. This takes time. Guys, it really, really takes time. And usually these patterns start very, very early in childhood, or at least, if not in childhood, in early adulthood. And sometimes they have an event that's associated with them, and sometimes not. Stop beating up on yourself. Know that this is a cycle. It's not you, it's these thoughts. Remember, I've said this over and over again, we have 70,000 thoughts. And some of them make sense and some of them don't. And some of them are not true. So get out of this negative cycle. Stop self-sabotaging and start reframing. It's just one little step that you can do to help quiet your mind, to help get you back some of the confidence, which will help you to stop getting in your way. I'm Chantel Cohen, and I help you become one again. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and please go to YouTube and subscribe. I'll see you soon.